It seems to be leaked rules season over at Games Workshop. Today we've got yet more details from an upcoming Codex, with a massively beefed up Rockgrinder and plenty of other Genestealer cult things. Hello and welcome back to Warspets Tactics, where today we're taking a look at a few more rules from the upcoming Genestealer cult Codex, a few fun details and datasheets that have been spotted on the packaging for some repackaged models. When Games Workshop prints a new codex for 9th edition, they basically recore all the boxes for that faction, repackage the instructions alongside their new datasheets, though we only get a kind of slimmed down look at their stats, which is quite interesting for seeing any big changes to the profiles or the damage of their weapons. Today I think the main event is the Goliath Rockgrinder, which seems to have been beefed up all over the place, but we also have the new datasheets for the regular Goliath Truck, the Jackal Alphus, and the Abominant. Let's start with this Rockgrinder then. This is the Genestealer cult converted mining platform, usually packing a big gun, a heavy stubber, and of course those enormous drill dozer blades to plough into the enemy with. It's got a small transport capacity, and you can have the ability to throw out demo charges for occupants within, which I always thought was quite a nice fun touch. I think Games Workshop has been trying to make this thing able to do a bit more heavy lifting for the faction. Overall it seems faster, tougher, and more dangerous both at range and in melee. We don't know the points cost yet. It might well have gone up in points to reflect its new abilities, but for the most part with these 9th edition codexes, the new models have tended to stay around about the same sort of points cost, but just get massively more dangerous rules. In any case, on its base stat line it's still toughness 7 and 10 wounds, so it isn't exactly the hardest vehicle to take down, but it's perhaps a little bit tougher due to getting a 3+ armor save. Previously it only had a 4+, likely to be a bit tougher, but still easily going to melt to anti-tank firepower of any sort of magnitude. Its leadership has been buffed from 7 to 8, perhaps slightly meaningless, only really relevant against a few psychic powers and things. Its movement has been buffed up to 12 inches, so it now moves the same amount as the Goliath Truck. I think that's really quite relevant to be honest. As a transport it wants to be getting its squads closer, and having a bit more threat range on that dozer blade is no bad thing at all. When it does reach melee, its weapon skill has been buffed slightly. It now hits on a 3+. It still appears to have a 4+ ballistic skill, but at least those dozer blade attacks should be fairly accurate. Overall, I think that means it's likely to be slightly more damaging in melee. Its strength has taken a small nerf. It's down to a strength 8 overall rather than a strength 9 like it was before, but unless you're actually targeting toughness 8 things, then that's not usually going to matter. Maybe a bit more relevant might be what exactly that drill dozer blade does in terms of special rules. At the moment it gives you an extra D3 attacks on the charge. That might well stay the same, but I really wouldn't be too surprised if Games Workshop change it up a bit. A lot of the other things in 40k that have sort of ram vehicle rules often do mortal wounds on impact hits. In any case though, from its raw stats alone it does look a little bit more dangerous. I think it's usually going to be best against things like elite infantry with that damage too. It's not really going to want to be tangling with anything with a -1 damage going on, things like Death Guard or Dreadnoughts perhaps. Otherwise there's some quite interesting changes to its ranged weapons as well. That demolition charge cache has become damage 2, changed from damage D3, going to be more reliable against elite infantry, less good against -1 damage things. The clearance incinerator has got a small boost. It's now a 15-inch range weapon, up from 12, and it's really not too different from the Guard Hellhound Flamer now, strength 6 AP -1 and 2d6 auto hits. Not too bad to have an auto hitting weapon in an army that usually has a poor ballistic skill. The heavy mining laser is completely unchanged, still D3 shots at 36 inches that basically have a las cannon profile, but the heavy seismic cannon has got a massive boost compared with its previous profile. I think it was currently one that you basically never really wanted to take. Its anti-infantry profile was underwhelming, and its anti-tank profile was too close range to be useful. Now though, both of its attacks are both 24-inch range. Its anti-infantry long-wave profile has got a massive boost, going up to 6 shots at strength 6, AP -2 and damage 2. That thing is going to absolutely murder Space Marines now, and if you're targeting heavy things or anything with -1 damage, then you can fire 3 shots at strength 8, AP -3 and damage 3 instead. That's really quite a decent anti-tank gun now, and it's actually going to be more damage than the heavy mining laser against quite a lot of targets, particularly standard vehicles with toughness 7. Previously the gun got AP -4 on wound rolls of a 6. I'd be surprised if that's still there to be honest, now its AP has got improved. I feel like this is now going to be the stock profile for the gun, and we're not going to get anything fancier. It's going to be interesting to see how they balance the weapons, whether or not anything is going to cost more, or whether they're just going to have all 3 guns have exactly the same price. I think that will be my guess. The seismic cannon does seem like it's got a far better damage profile, but I guess you are trading out a fair bit of range for that. I think it's going to be particularly interesting as to whether or not the Rockgrinders and things get the crossfire special rule. We know that the Ridge Run of fast attack vehicles get it, so it's really not too much of a stretch of the imagination to think that this guy might too. All of those profiles will be significantly better if they were getting +1 to hit and wound, and ignores cover up close, because why not? Finally, the heavy stubber appears unchanged, only getting 3 shots and not going up to 4. I was wondering whether heavy stubbers might eventually be going up to 4 shots across the board, but it seems that this isn't going to be the case for armies like Guard. Overall though, this thing looks much improved. Hopefully they make it point sufficient enough for it to be usable. I think it's always a bit of a shame when the non-core vehicles just get a bit overlooked for anything that you can stack massive synergies with. I wouldn't exactly say that these things have been massively strong at any point since their release. Moving on, we come to the Goliath Truck, the Genestealer Cult Transport, and one that you can build from basically the same kit as the Rockgrinder. Compared with the Rockgrinder, there just aren't really all that many changes to this thing. The most notable and useful thing is going up to a save of 3+ from that save of 4+. Definitely a handy little boost as a transport. The main thing that you want from it is something that's fast, relatively durable for the cost, and kind of expendable. It'll still be plinking out a few autocannon shots. Both they and the heavy stubbers remain exactly the same, and the demo charge has changed in the same way as it did on the Goliath Rockgrinder. Maybe with their good movement they could be an option for activating crossfire and exposed on certain units. Pretty cheap transports will be pretty useful for that role if they do get the crossfire rule. Finally, we have the datasheet for the Jackal Alphus and the stat line for the Abominant, though not its weapons. Currently the Jackal Alphus is an HQ choice for 75 points. She currently packs a kind of okay sniper rifle, but is much more of a great range buffing piece with +1 to hit for your cult units nearby. For the datasheet changes, she's actually gone down a wound, which is unusual given Games Workshop's current trend with these. She's only got 4 wounds down from 5. Her armor save's gone up to a 4+, which I'm going to guess is going to represent the same thing on the Aslan Jackals, the biker unit for the cults. I'd be kind of surprised if they don't also acquire that 4+ save, maybe to represent the armor on the bike perhaps. And her sniper rifle is decently more dangerous, going up to strength 5, AP -3 and damage 2, so an extra pip of strength and AP there. Sniper weapons are kind of in a rough spot in 40k right now, as a lot of bodyguard rules can just make them completely useless, so I think it's going to be far more important for the Alphus's buffing ability. I have a feeling that their current rules are kind of superseded by the whole crossfire thing, so it might be something that's as simple as rerolls to hit of some kind, or perhaps even something that interacts with the crossfire special rule itself, maybe making it more easy for units to be exposed perhaps. Finally, we have the Abominant. He's the big beefy leader of the Aberrants. We've only got a stat line for him so far, we don't have his weapon profiles, and his stat line's just basically gone -1 strength and +1 wound. To be honest, the -1 strength really isn't going to be any big deal whatsoever. If that power sledgehammer is still striky at strength ×2, then that's going to be strength 10 and wounding virtually everything on 3s or better. And really I think it's going to be the special rules that make or break this guy as to whether or not he's worth it. At the moment for 110 points I just really don't think he's worth looking at. Either Aberrants need to be better, or he just needs to put out more damage output himself. I think with that enormous sledgehammer, with all the damage D3+3 going around in 40k, I feel like that will be a very appropriate choice to give to him. Seeing as he gets so few attacks with it, I feel like when he does hit you, it should feel like an absolute ton of bricks. So anyway, plenty of interesting stuff for the cults there. Let me know what you think down in the comments below, and any hopes or fears for the new Codex. I'll most certainly be reviewing the Genestealer Cult Codex once we do have the rules for it, and I'll be hoping to try and get that video out sometime early next week. Feel free to subscribe to Auspex Tactics if you'd like to see that. I do have a small ad hoc Genestealer Cult army myself, and I'm really looking forward to experimenting with them. Finally, if you have been enjoying all the videos on the channel, I would just like to mention one way in which you can help support it if you'd like to. If you live in the UK, there's an Element Games affiliate link that's down in the video description. They're a discount retailer that give 10 to 20% off Games Workshop's models, and if you buy anything after clicking that link, a small amount goes to help support Auspex Tactics without costing you any more whatsoever. It can just be a way to help support the channel if you were thinking about ordering in some models anyway. In a similar vein, if you do live over in the USA, I do have an Amazon link down there as well. Again, that works very similarly indeed. Click the link, order literally anything whatsoever, and a small amount goes to help support the channel without costing you more. A massive thank you to you guys who have been using those. It's one of the things that allows me to do this so regularly. In any case, a massive thank you for listening. All hail the four-armed emperor, and I'll hope to see you guys next time.